All right, I'm Nick. Today, we're at the tabletop. We're going to spend a few minutes. We're going to talk about three different pistols and we're going to compare them, okay? So we can talk about how much they weigh, some features, length, height, all that good stuff. So let's just dive into it. We're going to start with the Glock 19. This is a Gen 5. It does have aftermarket suppressor sights and an RMR, factory trigger, factory magazine, 15 rounds. Its weight, with all that on there, is 24.3 ounces, maybe 24, 24.4, 24.3. All right. The next gun that we're going to weigh is an M&P M2.0. This is the compact version, obviously 9mm. It also comes with a 15-round flush-fitting magazine. It is metal. That one on the Glock 19 was plastic. We're going to weigh that. Now, I've shot this gun a lot with an RMR. An RMR weighs 1.2 ounces, so that is 24.9 plus 1.2. That's 26.1 ounces, so a little bit heavier than the Glock 19. Then we're going to compare the newly released Sig Fuse P365. Comes with the Romeo X compact optic on there. Comes with a flush mount metal 17-round magazine, okay? The weight on that is 23.4 ounces. Okay, so put them in order from lightest to heaviest. Fuse, M&P, just kidding. Fuse, Glock 19, and M&P. The weights are not significantly different. I don't see it as being that important, but it does exist, okay? Once you fill them with ammo, this gun that comes in at 23.4, it'll go up a little bit because it has 2 more rounds than these. We're not putting one in the chamber. We're just including the magazine, okay? We're not going to weigh it with ammo. It's just really also not that important. They're going to be pretty close in weight, about 2.5 ounces of difference across the board. Now, let's compare them, and let's go with width. And this is, or thickness. This is going to be the biggest difference. We're not going to go with exact numbers. You can just clearly see that the Fuse is much skinnier than the Glock 19 or the M&P, which does help with how you hold the gun in your grip, depending on the size of your hands. I'm just an average person. I feel like this gun is skinnier. I feel like I get a better purchase on the gun, and I feel like I can squeeze directly back into my hand and control recoil a bit better than I can with these two. The worst grip on my mind is this Glock 19. Not that it's terrible, it's just when you pick it up, these two pistols feel better in your hand. They both have much better grip texture, which makes a big difference, especially if you're sweating, it's hot outside, maybe you're just in a wet environment. It's just a much better grip without doing anything to it. And I know you could add grip tape or all these different things. This is just a factory consideration, okay? Next thing, let's talk about the trigger. Well, the Glock has the worst trigger, which, like I said before in all these videos, is the trigger is not as important as everyone else makes it out to be. Trigger is a muscle memory thing. You adapt to the trigger. So if you put 1,000 rounds through this and you shoot it and shoot it and shoot it and shoot it, and then you come shoot this gun or this gun, this trigger is going to feel funny to you because your brain is a powerful thing and it will figure out how to use that trigger. So worst trigger, if you're just picking them off the table and feeling them. If you're just sitting here like, oh, yeah, you know, that's kind of weird. Okay. Or maybe you really are out here going hardcore and you're like, okay. And the reset's kind of funny. That's probably why it has a worse trigger. These two are close. This trigger is really nice because it has a very definitive, crisp break, okay? Those are things that you notice desktop or gun counter. Once you're out there shooting, if you're doing everything right, you're not thinking about that. Okay, this gun, like every P365, it comes to a stop. There's a little bit of take up, and there's a crisp break. You can be real nitpicky and say, I don't like that, but these are duty triggers. They're not competition triggers. You want to be able to point the gun, and you don't want it to just go off when you press out, because I've had it happen before. Don't let anyone say they haven't, okay? Like, period. I don't care who you are. If you have shot a whole bunch of guns and you present that pistol to the target and you're doing hardcore, a super light trigger, you'll fire it a little bit before you want to every once in a while. It's just part of it. So I'm not a professional, but even professionals, there's no way it doesn't happen. I've been to a lot of gun ranges with a lot of people. It happens, okay? So don't say it doesn't. Everyone is guilty. Now, things to consider about these three pistols that aren't, where they're going to not be so comparable, okay? Obviously, this has ambi controls, this has ambi safety and ambi slide stop. This does not. Now, as part of it being a thinner frame gun, it's real tiny. It does not have ambi controls, which most people are right-handed, not that big of a deal. I'm left-handed, and I don't personally think it's that big of a deal either. I don't let it faze me. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to get them as close as possible in comparison. This has a 6 MOA dot on it. I typically shoot this with a 3 1/4 MOA RMR, and this one is a 2 millimeter dot in a 32 millimeter circle. I'm going to shoot these three guns out back. I'm going to shoot 15 rounds. 15 rounds through iron sights, 15 rounds through the red dot on all three guns, and see which one I do better with. Now, a lot of times, things to consider that maybe you haven't shot all three of these pistols or any other pistols. And these are just things that you get used to. I know that when I point a Glock, just because of the slide design and the frame design, when I present the pistol, I typically present it uphill. Like the gun is like this, not quite that extreme, but from the angle of the grip and my wrist, my body, everyone's different. When I present the gun, I'm high. Like I am shooting the gun high. I have to drive the gun down, like it will make it very extreme. But it's a lot less than that, probably 2 millimeters, but it's a huge difference, okay? With this gun, I present the gun very well, and everything is wonderfully lined up, no issues. And that's the same with this pistol here. When I present the pistol, it is dead on the money right. And that's one of the reasons I've always been a pretty big fan of the P365. I've owned a ton of different variations of it. I own this guy's big brother too, which is a metal M2.0. And I liked it so much that I bought this pistol a while back. This is a great shooting pistol. I took a red dot off it and I put it on an FN just to do some experimenting with. But those are three guns that I would consider very, very comparable. I would tell you that I'm probably going to shoot this gun better with iron sights because this sight post is much thicker than this sight post, which is going to allow you to be much more precise when you aim with irons. That's just something to consider, okay? So this is a tabletop discussion about three different pistols. I filmed an experimental test with my 15-round equation from 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 yards. And now I'm going to go out over the next few days and I'm going to film a comparison using these three guns we just talked about a minute ago. I expect I will shoot this the best just because of the grip and the sights, okay? So, I think it's a great comparison. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me if you think these three pistols are equally matched from the factory. We will be installing an RMR on there, though, okay? So, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. Leave a comment below.